My name is Sensor Joseph. I'm deaf. What is my job? BLOT is an organization that helps deaf with various projects, and I'm the president. In the same way, there is a group called ADMA, which stands for Africa Deaf Mission Alliance. ADMA is a group of different organizations around Africa who do translation and help the deaf improve their lives, both spiritually and physically. I am also the president of ADMA. DDG, Deaf Development Group, is an international group of different organizations that work together with the goal of deaf development. They are connected to FOBI. These are all different organizations that come together every year for discussion. Deaf people often miss a lot of information.
If we are not given access to sign language, then people are constantly speaking around us, but we don't understand.
In the schools, the teachers teach without sign language. They just write on the board and speak. The teachers don't have interpreters. So as the children grow up, they do not have good communication. At home, hearing parents and hearing children can communicate back and forth. This is good. But when a deaf child tries to communicate with their parents and ask questions, the parents don't understand their child, and communication is missing. I went to the hospital, and they cut my tongue to help me talk, but it didn't help. Parents will take sticks and beat their deaf child to discipline the child. The child will cry, but won't know what they did wrong. There's no one to advise them and explain to them what they did wrong. Deaf children do not have access to communication in their family life. Everyone around me speaks, and I'm full of questions, but I have no one to ask, and no way of understanding what's happening. For deaf adults, it is the same. They also miss a lot of information. There's no interpreter when I'm watching TV, so I don't understand. For example, when they talk on the TV about coronavirus, I don't understand anything. They don't understand anything when they read a newspaper. They can't listen to the radio because they don't hear what's being said. When coronavirus started spreading, many public announcements went out about the disease. You were able to hear all that information about coronavirus in all of those public announcements. There are deaf children who have never gone to school. Some deaf children get to go to school and are eager to learn, but when they get there, the teacher writes on the board and speaks, and the deaf children are completely lost. When deaf children look at their textbooks, they don't see their language. They don't understand the books. At deaf schools, the kids can all come together and communicate through sign language. When someone new comes into the school, they can be included and start to learn sign language.
When I went to hearing school, I was the only deaf kid there. Although it made me sad, I accepted it. But when I went to the deaf school, I could understand everyone and I felt so connected.
Whether at home or at school, communication is difficult for the deaf. They get tired being stuck trying to communicate.
Growing up, there were many problems. My father really put me down. When I went to school, I had a lot of trouble with school. I was the last child and my parents were ready to give up. I felt really put down. I felt sorry for myself, and my parents were trying to figure out what to do. I felt so alone. I had questions, but I couldn't ask them. It was difficult.
We deaf decided to come together and create this organization. The result is that this organization has deaf staff and deaf leaders. You can join together with we who are deaf. When we work together in partnership, we can come up with goals. When we work together in partnership, we can achieve those goals. All around the world, there are many different sign languages, but there's only one sign language that has a complete translation of the Bible. There is a lot of work that goes into translation. The work is very hard. All of that work requires training and funding. There is a need for training deaf people as consultants. As the World Federation of the Deaf says, nothing about us without us. There are different illnesses, and there's a lot of information being spread about them. However, the deaf need to have access to this information through sign language. When coronavirus started spreading, Bila was among the first to make sign language information videos about the virus. Adma also made videos in 5 countries to put out information about the coronavirus. Around the world, deaf are very poor. During coronavirus, deaf poverty went up a lot. When coronavirus hit, a lot of their work had to stop. They stayed at home, and they didn't have money to buy food. When they would get sick, they didn't have money to buy medicine. Bilot set up a group of volunteers to make masks and distribute them among the poor deaf in Tanzania. We also gave out soap and hand sanitizer, and we made videos to share information about coronavirus. In Burundi, We Deaf set up a program to collect and distribute food to the poor in the deaf community. The sewing businesses there also came about because we wanted to establish a way for the deaf to make money to help their lives and their families. When deaf children start to go to school, they enter school with no sign language. The books are all written using the spoken language. They don't understand. Bilot has been given textbooks used in schools and has started to translate them one by one into sign language, and will continue to do so. Parents of deaf children cannot teach them the difference between right and wrong, but parents of hearing children are able to teach them right and wrong. Deaf children don't know how to read, and they don't know right and wrong. They get to school and start learning, and they are just overwhelmed. In Bilot, we started a group of deaf volunteers. They go into schools to mentor and teach deaf children. They use the Bible translated for the children and share it with the children so that children can learn stories, songs, and drama from the Bible. These deaf children are now able to understand life and character changes, can look up to these deaf adults, and can ask their questions. Deaf children and deaf adults don't often get the chance to interact and communicate with each other. The children are often hidden with the result that they don't know any sign language or know only a few signs. In Asia, deaf have developed some programs to help deaf people deal with the trauma that they have experienced so that they can be healed from that trauma. We say thank you to SIL's Global Sign Languages team, SIL International, Door International, Wycliffe Bible Translators, and Wycliffe Netherlands for helping the deaf in Tanzania. We welcome you to partner with us and help support the deaf around the world. Thank you.